Hello and welcome back to Hungary. Today I'm going to be doing an experiment with potatoes, growing 3 different versions, well, same potatoes, but 3 different environments. First one here, I'm going to do this hay and rabbit poop mixture. So this is what's left over from falling from the food, from the hay that I feed them, and then it's mixed with their poop. So I'm going to see how well that does. So this will be just with, well, it's going to be a mixture. So mixture of the topsoil here, which is mixed a little bit with some good compost. That's going to be this bucket, just straight up here. And then this one's going to be a mixture of the 2. And I'm going to be doing my best to make sure that each one of these is treated the same for the whole of the experiment. And each one of these I'm just going to stick in, I'm layering, so putting one potato, doing the layer of soil about 2 centimeters, then doing another potato. So there's going to be, each potato has its own little area. And then what I suggest to do is actually when you're planting these, and I should have said it a little bit earlier, remove any duplicated, what are you doing? Remove any duplicated eyes. That way the potato can focus its growing power on just a single one. Now we're done. So I'm going to make a prediction. I think this control is going to do the best because it's the best of both worlds. But I do think that this one, it's going to have a lot of nutrients available to it once the rabbit poop starts really breaking down. So it may get a slow start, but I think this is going to be larger potatoes because more nutrients available, but also it doesn't have to work against it's not compacted. It doesn't have to work against soil. So that's my prediction for this. I think this one's going to be okay. It's not going to give us a lot because it's basically it's topsoil, but it's been back with the chicken, so it has a bit of nutrients in there as well. But I think it's going to do an okay job. But I do think this one is going to do the best because it has the best of both worlds. Well, that's that. So we will see how this does. See you in a few weeks. It's almost the end of April here. And as you can see, the potatoes have come into their own. They've started growing. They're doing fairly well. I can tell that this one over here, I'm not sure if it was the potatoes themselves or if it was the environment. I'm guessing it was the environment, the pure straw. They're not doing really well. As you can see here, there's only a few that have popped up, whereas these ones have really started to come up very strong. There's no issues, no signs of any disease. It's just this one, the pure straw, that only a few of them have popped up. And I did put a layer of mulch, and I realized now that there's ants in this one. So are there ants in any of the other ones? No. That might be the issue. This one might be because it's been infested with ants. So I'm not sure if this is the problem, but we'll be keeping an eye on it. It seems the cat is chasing after the ants. Yeah, he likes the ants for some reason. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on this. If it is the ants that have eaten all of the potatoes, then that would be the issue. But the other ones, they're doing really well. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see it in a little bit. As you can see, it is the middle of the summer season. It's June 29th, and the potatoes are done. They are well dried out, and so we are going to harvest these and see which gave us the best harvest. I'm very excited for this to give you a good picture of this experiment. I have no idea what the results are going to be. I do know that there were some ants around this area, so we'll see if that makes an impact. So I'm going to take this kitchen scale. I'm going to dig through each one of these buckets and put them all on the scales and see how many kilos we have. I don't expect to get too much because they're small, but we'll see. We'll see what our final kilogram count is. What are you doing in there? This is Marzipan, who's now deciding to bed down in one of these. Dude, this is not a place to sleep. So I'll start on the back. So I'm starting with the furthest back, which on the first clip would be the furthest to the right. That is the just ground soil. So first look at this. I have no idea what the results are, but this is the one that hasn't sunk the most, which is to be expected because the soil doesn't break down as quickly, doesn't get it as compressed as the straw. So there's less signs of compression, but we'll see how that actually turns out. There's some weeds in there. I have one little green tomato. This was exposed to the sun, and so it's not viable to eat, but it will count towards our harvest. And that one is 7 grams. Soil is quite dry, but at the very surface, there's quite a few smaller potatoes. Even though the topsoil, the very top of it, is quite dry, once I get, there's a worm. Once I get further down into the actual pot, there's still a little bit of moisture left. Quite a few worms down here. It looks like at the bottom, it's a rock, not a... Looks like at the bottom there was too much compaction, and so there's no potatoes down there. Breaking it apart just to make sure. One more that is completely hollowed out by a little potato bug, a little pill bug. Completely ate that one out. But it will count towards 6 grams, and then you can go away. So that's the first one. That is the soil, only the topsoil, and that totals out to 664 grams. That's not bad. We put, I believe, 4, maybe 5 mini potatoes in here, and so that's not a bad harvest. 664 grams. No, I wish it was 664 kilos. So that is our first harvest. So this was a mixture of topsoil and straw. First potato, 9 grams. And when I was doing all of this, taking care of these, I was very careful to keep the conditions the same. Anytime I would water, the same amount of water per bucket. It's definitely a lot easier to dig through this because the soil is not as compacted due to the straw. And I am being as careful as I can to get as little dirt in the weighing system so as to not dilute the results. So similar to the soil, with the last 10 to 15 centimeters of soil, there was no potatoes there. So I think that's probably due to the ability to drill deep into the soil, but who knows exactly what it is. The soil and straw mixture, that comes out to 537 grams. Not as much as the just soil, but it's still fairly close. Now for just the straw. This is significantly lighter, so I'm assuming there's not going to be too many potatoes, but we'll see. Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. It's a lot easier to pick these out, obviously, because there's no soil binding to it. These are obviously a lot cleaner. There were a lot of ants in this one, but so far I don't see any lasting damage to the potatoes. And I can also tell a very big difference between the straw and the mixture of the straw and the soil is the rabbit poop. I can still see it here in the straw, whereas in the soil one, there was no sign of it left. So it definitely dispersed itself into the soil a lot better. But it also means that this straw mixture can be reused and is still very fertile. Getting down to the bottom, this is it's so beautiful. It smells so good. There's lots of beautiful worms. Here's the last little one. So the straw itself, that harvest comes out to 324 grams total. So it's not a bad harvest, but I think the straight soil, definitely that's the best mixture in terms of this experiment. The most beautiful looking potatoes were from the mixture. So I think that's going to be what I will do in the future. I'm going to do this experiment again, maybe a few more times, just to see what could happen. But these are beautiful. These are tiny because they're fingerling potatoes. So I'm interested to see what you think. What could I have done differently? Maybe I'll double up, maybe do 6 or 7, maybe 8. Maybe I'll enlarge the sampling pool. But overall, this was a good experiment. Total harvest. So the final harvest is 1,520 grams of potatoes. These are fingerling potatoes, so they're a bit tinier. So we wouldn't expect a massive amount. But overall, I believe this experiment was a success, and I look forward to doing it again. And I hope you follow along on that journey as well. So until next time, vi sont partagera, and goodbye.